Hey guys, welcome back for Friday's Daily Dose of Medicine or Fun. Don't mind my unathletic apparel. I happen to be here doing some administrative work and thought that I would knock these out. Good news is they're stretchy, so we're gonna make it work. Starting our session off just like we do any other day with our 10 belly breaths. Big breath in through the nose, big breath out. Want to really think when we breathe in, pushing everything out physically, and then when we breathe out, sucking everything in nice and tight. So we just want to give ourselves the time and space and grace to take 30 to 45 minutes just for you. Once we've done that, if we've got a jump rope handy, awesome, go ahead and use it. We're gonna do 30 single unders, or in this case, if I don't have a rope, I can just do 30 kind of air single unders. From there, I'm gonna use my bench in this case, but we may have a box, a step at home. We're gonna do 10 total step ups. Remember with the step up, we're looking for the entire foot to be on the surface that we're gonna step to, driving through that leg to get to that full stand. And you can see this is a little bit of a squishy surface. So we're gonna come in, again, drive through that full leg and down, 10 in total. And then we've got 10 skull crushers. So with the skull crusher, I've got my kettlebell here. You could use a dumbbell, you could use a barbell. Coming in, just like we would if we had a barbell. In this case, where we're gonna hold the hands on the outside of the kettlebell. It's just too small to get my hands both in the center. But from here, we're gonna come down, keeping the elbow nice and high and extend through. Try to avoid actually conking yourself in the head if you do. Hopefully don't get it on video, no one will know. Once we've done that for 2 rounds, we're gonna come into our pre-workout. Our pre-workout today is all about opening up our hips and getting some movement through the hips. So the shin box float. We've done these before in classes, but we're gonna think about 90-90. Ideally, hands will stay off of the ground. Both feet will go flat to the ground, and then we'll drop them to the opposite side. Is 1, 2, if we struggle doing that, we can always use our hands to help support ourselves. We just want to make sure that if we're using the hands behind us, that we then come through to really force those hips to open. The second one, this lateral rock. We're going to come in. Easiest way to think about getting into this, if I'm on all fours, right? This tabletop position is a start position for a lot of things we do. I'm going to take one leg out to the side, so I should feel a long stretch through my groin or my adductor. From there, I'm going to rock back. So 5 each side to get that 10 in total. Again, we're going to kick out that opposite leg for 5, 10 in total. We're going to do that for 2 rounds. So 2 rounds of the shin box and then that lateral rock before we get into our sumo deadlift work. If we have a barbell at home, awesome, use that. Our workout of the day today is a sumo deadlift ring dip. In this case, I'm assuming that we don't have rings at home. If you do, or a TRX, perfect, use it. But most people are not gonna have that, so we're gonna do bench dips today instead. With the sumo deadlift, some of the principles that we use for conventional deadlift apply, some do not. The foot position, we're looking to get those heels outside of our shoulders. So let me turn face on so you can kind of see the stance that I would be taking if I were squared up with my bar. What we're looking to pay attention to in that bottom position, as the hips go down, my knees are going to go out, so we're opening up left and right. I want my knee to be able to stay stacked over my ankle. If you find that you've gone too wide, you're going to see, you should be able to see anyway, you can kind of guess and check yourself that my knee now is inside of my ankle. So if that's the case, we either want to consciously think about pushing out harder or we need to narrow that stance just slightly. So we're gonna step up to our bar. We're gonna hide the knot in our shoes underneath the barbell. From there, my hands are gonna come straight out, down to my sides. From there, my hands are just hanging at my sides. I'm gonna physically sit down into the bar. I wanna try and think about shoulders stacked over the bar, knees stacked over my ankle, standing up from there. It's gonna give us our Sumo Deadlift. As we head down, again, we're gonna think opening the knees left and right to come down and through versus leaving that hip high in a high hip Sumo Deadlift. Right? We wanna make sure that each end or finish of the rep is a good beginning for the next rep. We're suggesting, I believe, 165, 105, 185, 105, something like that. Look down below in the YouTube description, it's in there. We're then gonna assume that we don't have rings at home. If you do, again, use those. We're gonna come in for 7 bench dips. So from here, I'm gonna have my legs straight out front. It's gonna be more difficult than if my feet are flat. So now I can take some of that weight off my arms and put it in my feet. If I want to challenge myself, I can then elevate feet, will make that harder. But we're going to look to come down until the elbow is in line with the shoulder and press up from there for 7. We're going to make this a 9-minute AMRAP. Now, if we don't have a barbell, or even if we have a lighter barbell, or in this case I've got 35 pounds on the bar, we're going to come into a Sumo Deadlift high pull. Now, if we have a barbell, hand position is going to change slightly because we need room for my shoulder to be able to come up and through. If I'm too wide, I'm going to get locked into a position that I'm not going to be able to get through. If I'm too narrow, I'm going to create a lot of weeble wobble in the bar. What we typically recommend is one of 2 things. One, the closest we want to get is that football position or football hands centered on the bar. The widest I would get is going to be your pinky finger, just inside that smooth and knurling. Foot position is going to stay the same. Now, this is a much more dynamic lift than a Sumo Deadlift because I want to really create some momentum through the hips to then pass to my hands. We're going to have the weight up to the collarbone and then back down. One of the biggest mistakes I see with this is in that top position, there becomes this almost pause hold at the top versus hitting that top position and physically pressing the bar back down. I'm gonna get my hands set. Hips are gonna open, chest is gonna come nice and tall. I'm gonna drive through my hips till I fully extend, where I'll then transfer that to my arms. Immediately let gravity from that top position take the bar back down to the floor. Those mechanics, if we've got a kettlebell, will stay the same. We'll come in, wide foot position, sitting down, chest still stays nice and tall. We're gonna drive up through the hips. Again, letting gravity, as soon as we hit that, either let gravity pull us down or physically push it down. We're gonna combine that with the bench dip. We're increasing the volume, however, 14 and 14, keeping that time the same, so still a 9-minute AMRAP today. From there, we're gonna go to our finisher of stretching. Our frog stretch, always a crowd favorite. We're gonna open up inside of the foot to the floor. We wanna get our forearms down onto the ground and then really sink those hips back. I like to do a rocking frog, just having that little bit of rock in there. We can also do a static hold. From there, we're gonna come into a 1-minute pigeon per side. Crossing over, sometimes called a figure 4, because we're making a figure 4 with our legs. This may be enough for you. If it's not, we can come down onto the forearms and really feel the outside of that hip, get a good stretch. We're gonna do that for 2 rounds, and then we're gonna pack it in for the day. We'll see you guys tomorrow.